Well-behaved students singing their school song. This is what we expect from the Japanese. But is it truly representative of life in a Tokyo school? And is there anything we can learn from Japan about how to promote a culture of respect in our schools? Hugh Oliphant, who works for the British Council, lives with his Japanese wife and family in Tokyo. For 16 years, he taught in Japanese state schools.
Itadakimasu.
British teachers have a perception that Japanese students are very well behaved. I think to a certain extent that is true, but it's not the whole story. At Japanese schools, many teachers feel that behaviour standards are dropping. And within the local community as well, especially older generation, thinking that children are not behaving as they used to.
Changes in the way the young are behaving are put down to a whole range of factors.
There's now more of a trend to treat children as individuals. It's not as strict, and schools are steering away from placing children in a mould because this is thought to discourage the development of the child's character.
This is very difficult, but Japan and England are both in a similar era, where the way of thinking has been changing vastly. The authority of the teacher is being lost, and with Japan's economic boom, we have become a materially wealthy nation. The onslaught of material wealth brought a retreat of spiritual wealth. I would imagine England is much the same. This makes discipline very tricky.
Recently, there are junior high school students who have become more rebellious and stay out to around 10 or even way past midnight in the Shibuya area. I think it's the parents' fault.
There are pressures through TV games and new media which parents or schools do not have control over. So there's a feeling that the world is much more complicated than it used to be.
When I was a child and phoning my friend's house, I would speak politely to the family member who answered the telephone. However, nowadays, the children have mobile phones and contact each other directly. The interaction has become confined between the two people, decreasing the chance of interaction with older people altogether. In this sense, I'm quite worried how the children are behaving towards adults. I think that there are many more people with higher education now, so there are many parents who have similar or higher educational backgrounds to the teachers. In some cases, the parents even speak badly about the teachers in front of their children and undermine their ability to teach.
In terms of strictness, I think now is much more friendly. I think the past was relatively strict, whereas before, teachers would raise their voices and slap the children. Now, there is much more of a trend to try and change the way children behave from the inside through communication.
In Japan until very recently, it was common for 3 generations of the same family to live together in the same house. Now, as many opt to live in smaller nuclear families, there are concerns that family bonds are weakening and that the sense of community has gone.
I think parents and the school today, like in the past, do teach discipline, but the very important community aspect of discipline has declined. There were still remnants of this when I was an adolescent, with the scary old man in the neighborhood scolding me for smoking.
Across the country, school rolls are falling. At Suginami Daihachi Elementary in Tokyo, there are just 159 pupils in a school originally built to accommodate 1,000 children. This is not unusual. Birth rates have been declining for decades, and some think this has led to spoilt children.
There are many one-child families now, and one-child families tend to be more spoilt than bigger families, and the parents are maybe too protective about their children or too indulgent about their children. So some Japanese people think this is also a bad trend in society.
非常に難しいことだと思ってるんですけれども。
This is a very difficult point, but I think Japanese society has come to treat children very preciously. For example, even from a material aspect, what the child wants always sells the best. I question whether this is a good thing. They will never learn endurance or become able to think about other people's feelings very well.
いうふうな部分が少なくなってるということが一つあると思います。
The Japanese Ministry of Education is trying to achieve a difficult balancing act. On the one hand, it's now acknowledging the need to help pupils develop as individuals. On the other hand, it doesn't wish to lose the tradition of respect and sense of public duty that's been a feature of Japanese society for generations.
The school has a very important role in trying to develop a kind of moral awareness of the students, and the Ministry of Education gives a lot of responsibility towards schools in raising the next generation of young people. So responsibility to teachers is quite heavy.
One of the ways schools are being encouraged to deal with this is to put extra emphasis on what here is called moral education. At Suginami Daihachi Elementary, the head teacher has taken on the important role of teaching moral education himself. Today's lesson's about a boy who's been promised a new pair of trainers by his mother if he consistently scores full marks in his daily spelling tests. He gets one answer wrong, but the teacher makes a mistake and gives him a score of 100%. The boy's dilemma is whether he should own up or get the trainers.
The aim of today's lesson is to try to learn to avoid lying and deceiving, as these actions will ultimately not bring a brighter future. It is important to acknowledge that under certain circumstances, people often become deceitful.
Should the boy own up or not? The children use cards to indicate how strongly they feel about the two courses of action. Some feel he should come clean, others aren't so sure. Moral education is not confined to elementary school. Here at Koenji Junior High, the final year students' moral education lesson today is all about learning the correct way to behave in a high school interview through role play. Moral education lessons aren't new. They've been taught in Japanese schools since 1958. One lesson a week for all children aged between 6 and 15. What is new is the extra focus on this aspect of school life, due to a concern that today's children are particularly lacking in moral guidance.
I think moral education lessons are essential. You can learn a lot about everyday living and how to behave with people.
In moral education classes, we learn how to communicate with people better and about how people might think.
Moral education is not something that just happens in the classroom either. There are activities outside the classroom, especially children growing up in urban areas like Tokyo. There's a feeling that the children have become separated from nature, and this has had a detrimental effect on the students' character. So a lot of schools in inner Tokyo will have activities where students will have a chance to interact with nature.
We grow things such as hot peppers, tomatoes and aubergine and many others, and water them in periods 4 and 5.
Every year has a garden, and we just saw some sweet potatoes. Those were from the second grade's garden. They planted the set just before the summer, and just happened to harvest them today. They will now make a wreath out of sweet potato vines. Other years also have their own projects.
Caring for nature extends to keeping school pets too. Most schools keep animals of some sort to help cultivate a respect for living things.
We have committees, and within that we have the keeping committee, which takes care of the rabbits. Within our committee, we take responsibility to divide the duties and allot days to care for the animals.
It's a very popular animal among children of all ages. Also, the rabbit is happy to eat the leftover vegetables from the school lunch.
It is hoped that children learn to appreciate how precious life is by taking care of animals and plants.
Nurturing plants is to cherish a life. Therefore, it has a link to fostering the spirit of consideration and sympathy. We hope for great results from this, and that it will make the children into kind and caring people.
As Japan develops in the 21st century, this desire to encourage kindness and a sense of community in the next generation is part of the Ministry of Education's strategic vision. It has sent booklets to all elementary and junior high schools for use in moral education lessons. They're designed to help youngsters to care more about nature, their families, and their communities. Schools are keen to hold on to the positive aspects of traditional Japanese education.
Our main policy revolves around the idea that we are small entities as individuals, so we need to all pull together to become something greater. As is stated on the board here, one of our school objectives is to help and improve each other.
互いに助け高め合うっていう言葉がやっぱり彼らの中にはすごい大事な言葉なんですよね。
In a society where new technological advances arrive on the streets every day and the gap between the generations is widening, there's great pressure on schools to get it right. And for teachers, responsibility for cultivating a greater sense of morality and citizenship in the young is strongly felt.
It is every Japanese school's basic objective to harmonize the balance of the mind, the heart, and the body. Among the head, the heart, and the heart is presently the most troubled area. Therefore, the education of the heart is very important in schools.
ですからどこの学校でも極めて大事にやってます。